Let's go.
Right, we're on.
Is my camera all right?
Yeah, you're all good, buddy. You're all good. Right, guys, I'm on today with none other than the man himself, Mr. Sullivan. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me, Timbo.
Thank you for coming on, buddy. I know I reached out to you as soon as I started doing this stuff, and I was like, I need to have you on, mate. So, being the busiest guy I know, I really appreciate you doing this, mate. So, thank you. Obviously, I've had the pleasure. Before I start, I just want to say, firstly, a massive congrats, buddy, to you and Danielle. Craig has taken on a new job recently of Daddy Number One. And you've had a beautiful little girl called Sienna, so big congrats for that, mate.
Thank you, my man. Yeah, she's an absolute delight. apart from the night feeds.
Oh, mate, yeah. Wait for the teething, my friend.
I've heard, mate. I've heard.
It gets killer, but all worth it, mate. All worth it. So a lot of the guys watching this will know you, Craig. I mean, you've obviously got quite a big following on social media. Obviously you're very active. We love the videos, mate. Like, it's really good sort of seeing, and you're very interactive with customers and viewers, so it's great for us to see that. But for the guys who don't know Craig, he is the owner of Student House Gillingham, as well as a number of other different bits and pieces that he has his fingers in. But yeah, that's sort of what we're here to talk to about, with you today about, buddy. And it's just to sort of, well, I've had the privilege of knowing you for, I think it's 14, 15 years, something like that. Yes. About that time.
Yeah, it's about that, mate. Yes, since I lived back in Thanet. Yeah, long time. Yeah.
So it's been a long road, mate, and I've had the privilege of sort of seeing you from start to, well, not finish because you're only getting started, but start to now with what you've done. So I know the sleepless nights, the weekend work, the not only being a property investor and investor. Obviously, I know that you're on the tools, so I know sort of the graft you put in. But what I want to start with, buddy, is rolling back the years and telling people how you got into it. So how did it all start for you?
Of course, mate. So basically, I got into property through my dad. So my dad, he's a builder, and he was involved in the traditional buy your own house, renovate it, sell it, move bigger, and repeat the process. So obviously, growing up with him, I picked up a lot of building tips, like painting, decorating. For extra money, I used to go to work with him, not just work at my house or our house, but also on his customer work as well. So yeah, that's kind of where, and I watched him accumulate a lot of wealth through it. So I thought, okay, so that kind of planted the seed. And then, yeah, I always worked hard, Tim. Like I've had like three jobs on the go. As you know, I used to do like side hustling and stuff like that. I worked at Escape. Everyone knows Escape, legendary place. Yeah, so I had all these going on. And then I went to university, and that's where I really saw a gap in the market, because when my mum and dad dropped me off, and basically it wasn't halls up here. It was just like privately rented housing. The halls weren't built. Sure. Although they had the planning permission, they weren't built yet. So I saw, all the housing side of it. And basically, Tim, it was absolutely diabolical. Like I walked into the front room, and it was like something from a charity shop, mate. It was horrendous. Like the furniture was all mishmash. You had those, those big, massive TVs.
Yeah. I'm with you.
You have 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that was the kind of feel, the kind of vibe that it was. And my mum, and there was single beds, it was mismatched furniture, and it was honestly, it was rough. To the point where my mum, she actually cried when she checked me in, because she was like, I can't believe I'm letting you move in here. So yeah, it was dire, mate.
Yeah.
So as I obviously went through my university degree, I made friends, and I started going to their houses and stuff for like parties and gatherings and whatnot. And I started to see a pattern. It was exactly the same. That the accommodation was just really weak, and it was dated. And I thought, you know what? Sure. I think this is the gap here. This is the gap. And I thought, well, if I was to apply my dad's knowledge of decorating and renovation and stuff like that, and apply a really nice house, I'm sure it would do well. And then when I started putting pen to paper and realizing what I was paying, and the value of the property and the number of people that are in this house, I thought, well, hold on, this
Someone's
could be big.
making some money here.
Someone's making a lot of money here. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly that.
mate.
And
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be fair, the service, the service, the actual landlord service was absolutely diabolical. I was doing most of the maintenance work in my own
Sure.
property. Do you know what I mean? That I was renting as a student.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to the point where my friends were ringing me up saying, Craig, can you come round and get our boiler working? Because our landlord's
Jesus.
like shit. So there was a gap of, I saw it like blatant. There was a big gap in the market for high-end accommodation and also a high-end service to accommodate the students. Because everyone I spoke to was saying, oh, my landlord's shit, my landlord's crap. He's not doing this, he's not doing that. And my property's crap, my property's this, and it doesn't have this. So yeah, it was staring me in the face. And I always wanted to get into property, but I didn't know the right route. But then I saw this. So basically, that was the pinnacle point. And so what I did is when I got a placement when I went to London, because obviously with property you need an income,
Of course.
and so I managed. So on my internship, I was fortunate enough to work for a really good firm, the Walt Disney Company, and they actually kept me on. So that was it.
I remember the perks, Craig, of Walt Disney, of all the gifts that I get in the post from you, of Mickey Mouse and stuff like that, bringing it way. Yeah.
Hey, it was incredible company. Yeah, it really was. Yeah. Like you'd have a toy sale, and what it was where Disney have like loads of samples.
Sure.
And you'd literally go in there, and they would literally, any money they made, they would just give it to charity.
Oh, wow.
So I was paying like £1 or £2 or £3 for whatever for like a £30 toy. Like I remember buying like a massive Caribbean ship or something.
I remember it well, mate. Yeah, I remember it well. Would you know what's great about that is it's good you've mentioned that, because obviously Walt Disney have a bit of a reputation with some people. So to say that might be something that people didn't know, that they have these big sales and all the money goes to charity. So I mean, I wasn't aware of that until now. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, they were fantastic.
And they were a good employer as well.
Good employer, really big on social responsibility and charities.
Oh, cool.
Like that.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely fantastic. And so that's kind of that's where so I saw the gap in the market. I needed the funds. So what I did was, obviously while I was doing those 3 jobs, I saved a lot. And then I got the full-time contract. I got the monthly income, and then that was it. Then I was like, right, now I need to find a property. Yeah. And lo and behold, I saw one at auction, I went for it. And while I was there, Homes Under the Hammer were there.
They were indeed.
And then,
I was going to say, you're not going to get away with not mentioning that, Craig. So I was going to bring that up if you didn't, buddy. So brilliant.
Yeah, so it was So while I was buying this house, obviously they were there filming. I thought, they won't want a little small fry like me, because there was like all the big projects going for like 300, 400, £1 million. Yeah, and then there was my little like crappy terraced house in Gillingham. But yeah, lo and behold, I ended up getting it. I ended up winning it, and then a woman approached me and said, "Look, I'm from BBC. I'd love to document your journey.
Oh wow!
Would you be interested? And we're happy to pay you." And I think they paid me £600 for for the initial visit, and then £600 for the end visit. So
cool.
So I was like, fantastic. That pays for like the kitchen or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, absolutely. So we got all that done, and that's on my. If anyone wants to see that, that's on my Property Apprentice Instagram page under the link tree, and you'll see it. And so that's kind of how it started. And I was literally thinking, my mindset was, I'll buy property because there was a gap in the market, but it was just as a hobby. It was just to put my money somewhere safe where I knew it would kind of grow. And then I started, the feedback from that house was, oh, who's the landlord? Because this is a really nice house. And then I thought, okay, well, this is scalable because there's a demand there. Yeah. And we were head and shoulders above the competition. So what did I do? I carried on. I saved all the rent that came in. I saved, and I put that towards another house. Awesome. And and then I got to about 5 houses over the space of 4 or 5 years. And then I thought, you know what? I need to take this up another notch. And I opened up my own letting agency.
Man. I remember the day, Craig.
Yeah.
I remember the day of getting the message and just being like, wow. I mean, what age were you then? Just as a reminder, how long ago was that?
I think that, well, we kicked off in 2013. So that's when we officially opened up the agency. So what was that? That's like 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
So we were babies, mate, is what you're trying to say.
Exactly. Yeah.
We
It
were
seems
just
like
kids.
a lifetime ago. Yeah. It seems
I remember seeing that message and just being like, I really need to start thinking about what I'm doing in life, because Craig is like running things, you know. It was, and I was so happy because I'd seen all of the work that you put in up until that point. So I remember talking to you about, and what I always thought was brilliant, Craig, with what you have done and did back then, was you always had the mindset of somebody that knows what he wanted and knows what he wanted to achieve. And sometimes with us, and especially in business, it can take people, they're not in that frame of mind at the age that you were. Whereas this is something you were probably thinking about even before you thought, I'm going to get into property. You probably thought, like you said, when you were working with your dads, you may have thought, I want to get into property, but you always had an aspiration of what you wanted to do. And you also, you know, like you say, you was in university and you're at your digs and you're thinking, this isn't good enough. It needs to be quirkier. It needs to be cooler. It needs to be modern. It needs to be young. And sorry to stop you in your tracks, mate, but that was a really, really key point, I think, of what you said, was the fact that you had that inside knowledge of somebody who was in his 20s, who is in uni and just coming out of uni. You can relate to students so much more than somebody who's been in the property game and they're now 60. So, I mean, I look at some of the renovations you guys do and it's beautiful and it's cool and it's, you know, there's nothing like skimped or scraped on, you know, it's, everything is high spec, high quality. And, you know, I know you shared posts where like some of the guys and girls who are at uni will come in to see you and you'll have a quick beer with them or something, you know, to sort of celebrate them getting the tenancy and stuff like that. And it's all of those little, well, I say little, they're big deals to people because it generates, it's more than just you're letting a property. Like, you know, I mean, I've been fortunate enough, mate, you and I have had some adventures over the years. We've gone on holidays, we've, you know, had good times, and I've seen you on the phone to tenants, you know, as soon as we land somewhere, or when we've been in Dublin and had a few pints and you're like, Tim, I've got to go and sort this out and then I'll be back with you. And this is all the stuff that people maybe don't really see behind the scenes. I mean, although you're very active on Instagram, you're good because you show every good moment, and that's great because it inspires people and motivates people to do well. But I've also been there to see the hard work that you put in, and you know, I know that you've had like crazy trips to IKEA and other places on really like difficult times and dates to make sure that when that person moves into that property, it is a Craig Sullivan property. It's not an old sofa that's been there since 1983. It's not a TV with a massive back, you know, like the old school TVs. It's like a really slick, nice TV on the wall or really well placed. And that's it, mate. Just go. I was just going back to what you said.
No, mate, that you've hit the hammer. You've hit the nail on the head, mate. Exactly. That's that feeling when I walked into that house, my student house, the first time. I want my tenants to be as far away from that feeling
exactly.
as possible.
So honestly, that haunting, mate, has stayed with you since and served you well. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Honestly, I still remember it to this day. It was chilling because I just thought, oh my God. Like, at first you think, is this for real? Like, is people, am I really paying for something like this? Like, it was that bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're exactly right, man. It's all about the experience and the brand. And that's something that I've put a lot of effort in. And as you say, like, and when you're a business owner, the buck stops with you. So like you said, you may be on holiday, you may be doing a special event, but it is hard to turn off because ultimately, although you don't have a boss to service, you've got your customers to service. And as a small business, there's a lot of pressure on you to deliver because your reputation is everything, right?
I had Steve Lawrence on the first episode of this podcast, and his work ethic is exactly the same as yourself. Like, only perfection will do. So it's kind of like you're two people. You're your boss, and you're the guy that you know is on the tools and meeting clients, or meeting tenants here, there, and everywhere, and making the trips to IKEA. And that's the beauty, I think. You know, the more and more I discover it, the beauty of a successful business is having someone like yourself in charge. The work will always be done to the standard that you would expect. So, and I don't obviously know the game that well. I don't know HMO sort of lettings and stuff that well. But you obviously hear a lot of stories where people say, like you've said, like the sofa was 50 years old and the TV's upside down and, you know, the fridge is mouldy and stuff like that. So the care and consideration and thought that goes into what you do for your tenants is one of many reasons why you're so successful, and why you're on the trajectory, can't say that word properly, that you are on, because I know that only the best will do for your tenants. And like I say, mate, it shows. You know, I've read the reviews, you know, I see you share stuff about what people say. But I'm so sorry, mate, I've really stopped you in your tracks here, Craig. So you open up the business.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So yeah, going back to the story, there was a nice diversion though, but so going back to how it all began. So basically, so I made a little website, and these were for my properties, and this is how the agency began. Yeah, so I made a little website because while I was at Disney, my phone was going off 10 to a dozen because I had this little portfolio of properties that I was managing. I had tenants ringing me about maintenance. I had new tenants wanting to view the properties. So I was like, oh my God. So what I did was I create a little website, put all the photos on there, put all the details. And then I kind of, like, anyone who messaged me, I say, look, everything you need to know is on the website. And I also had some posters up at the uni as well, down at the uni,
nice.
stuff like that. Anyway, so one day I was doing my work, and I got a missed call, and they left a message. Anyway, I listened to the voicemail, and it was a landlord. And basically the landlord had found my website saying, hi, I'm interested in renting my property to students. I've seen your website and I want to chat. And I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. Like, I was just expecting like tenants to come to my properties, but now I've got landlords asking if I want to manage. So anyway, I met up with her. I called her back and said, yeah, look, I'm not an agent, so to speak, but I'm an amateur landlord. This is how I manage my student properties. If you're happy, then I'm happy to meet you. And she said, yeah, let's have a chat. So I drove to Gillingham at the weekend, obviously because I work Monday to Friday. And I met up with her, and basically she had professionals in hers, and she was at her wit's end because she lived in London, and she went through all the local agents up here, and they were all crap apparently, and a lot of them are they just don't have the resource. So with what I do is HMO, so there's a lot of resource that put into it, whereas a lot of traditional letting agencies, they like families who come in, rent the whole house out as a whole, and they'll stay in that house for like 4, 5, 6 years.
It's a totally different ball game, isn't it? You know, it's like two completely different business models, although it's the same in some regards. Having a home full of students or professionals where you have a room each and a shared area is very different than if it's a house of a wife, husband, and 3 kids or whatever. You know, it's like a totally different. So
exactly that. So
I'm not surprised she rang you, mate, for that. You know, so it's
So and basically when we were talking, she was like, look, you're my last chance saloon before I sell it. So she said, so I was like, okay. So literally there and then she just literally dropped the keys in my hand and was like, it's yours. So I was like, I'm pretty sure we have to sign some stuff to make this legit. So I managed to draft up an agreement. She signed it off, and that was it. And I had the house rented out in like 3 days.
Oh wow.
So it was unbelievable. and the reason why I loved this house was because it was massive. It was on King Street, and the mad thing was I've actually bought that house. So
nice.
That's kind of where it all began, like the letting agency. So yeah, that house has like a little story, but so yeah, that's kind of where it began. And then next thing you know, she introduced me to her sister who had properties in the area.
Oh, cool.
She gave me those properties, and then she had friends, and then it just bloody snowballed.
Wow,
and then, And then I'm juggling like a full-time role. Like working for, at this point, I'm working for MTV because And then this growing business, this like a little monster that's happening down here,
Yeah.
which is, so I'm working 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9 on this. So it put a lot of pressure on me, obviously with like relationships and stuff like that at the time, because
Yeah.
you've got to do the work.
Well, you don't have any time for anything apart from the work, you know, and
It takes over.
it does. Yeah, definitely. I can sympathise with that, definitely. Obviously, with the situation I'm in myself, you know, Nat's been really, supportive and stuff. But yeah, kind of working every hour under the sun at the moment. So yeah, I know it can be quite you get the sort of brain fog sometimes when you go to bed where you're like, whoa, that's a lot to take in.
Exactly, and sometimes you can't even switch off because you think,
No,
oh, I've got it's like, yeah, it's madness. But
yeah.
but it's brilliant. Like when you're in that position, you've got the business, you've got clients, you've got customers. It's brilliant. But to the point where people say to me, "Do you have any regrets?" And I say the only regret I have is that I should have left my job sooner.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
The moment you do,
Yeah.
you see this spike like of
Yeah.
progress. And in my head now, I thought, well, let's just say that property stuff didn't work out. I can always go back to it, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of
So
course.
that's kind of where I was at. So I basically just went, do you know what? Something's got to give. I'm gonna go for the Gillingham, and it's
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
point. It's really good that we're talking about this now, because I've actually put on my Instagram yesterday, 5 years ago to the day, was when I left my job.
Oh
So
wow, yeah, nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
wicked. Yeah. I
so
did
I
see
haven't.
it actually. Yeah, I did see it, and it's mad to think that that's been, because like I say, I remember again another message from you, mate. I'm quitting my job, and I'm like, what? You're like, yeah, because you at that time, I think you were very reserved about what you were brewing. You know, you were obviously saying, got this going on, but I think it wasn't until you made that leap and we got the message, was like, yeah, I'm packing that in now. All of a sudden, it was like Student House Gillingham was on steroids. You know, it was like all of a sudden, it was like, wow, look at what Craig has been doing. And I was blown away, mate. Like I say, I mean, we were still very young at the time. You think 5 years ago, we're sort of mid to late 20s. I'm trying to get away with saying mid 20s there, so it makes it number. But I just remember thinking like, this is incredible. And again, sorry to digress, but you're always the example. So I'll speak to people that want to get into property, and they might have bought a property and they're looking at buying another one, or they're looking at their options, they're looking at what they should do, whether they should take money out of property to put it in something else, or into another property, or whatever it might be. And I go, there is one person you need to speak to. I was like, don't waste your time with anyone else. You need to speak to Craig, because he knows what he's doing, and he's tried and tested. And I guess, like I say, it was since you like quit your job and you went full time. What I love as well is that you're so open and honest about your goals. So I'll check your Instagram daily, see what Craig is doing, even if I'm just having my coffee in the morning. So guys, if you haven't got Craig on Instagram, it's property_apprentice. And if you need someone to get you going on a Monday morning or even a Sunday morning, he'll be up at 6 a.m. and he'll have a message for you. So I recommend definitely giving him a follow. But I love that you'll say, this is what I want to do by this point. I think even in your bio, it says, I want this amount of properties by a certain age, and 50 by 50. So, and I think what that does is it subconsciously gives, people like myself who might be aspiring to do things in life, and, what I want to do, and other business people or people that are interested in business or want to start their own business or whatever else. They're like, this guy, everything he says he's going to do, he goes and does. Now, we know it's not that easy. We know it's not a case of you just wake up and go, oh, it's done now. But you give people an insight into the life you have to live to achieve that. And it's really good that you share that, because not a lot of people in your position like to share their secrets.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, we're only human at the end of the day, and like whether I fail or whether I don't hit those targets, it's still a learning point. It's like, okay,
Definitely.
it's black or white. It's, did you hit it? No. Okay, why didn't you hit it? Because of this. Okay, so what are you going to do next
Yeah,
time to hit it? And so
yeah,
you're
yeah.
learning from it. So that's the way I look at it. So if you put it out there, you're putting it out there because you're accountable, but also you're letting everyone know what you're doing. And
Sure.
people, oh, I like his vibe. He's got good value on his content. People are always looking, and that's the power of social media, Tim, is that people are always watching.
Most
And
certainly.
if you're of good value, you're always going to get those. You're always going to draw people in.
Yeah,
And I,
yeah, yeah.
as
Definitely.
you know, as you mentioned earlier, like one of the extra bits that I do is JV partners,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
literally all I use is my phone. I'll tell you the numbers. I'll put my little spreadsheet up, and that's it. And I get like 20, 30 people that are interested, willing
yeah,
to buy this property with me. Obviously, I have to vet them and stuff like that, make sure they're good for the funds. But I've got a pair of JV partners, again, all through social media. And this time next year, we're on schedule to purchase our fourth property, our
wow.
fourth HMO, and that will bring our portfolio just with these guys up to £1 million.
Fantastic,
So
mate.
it's absolutely mad. So
What?
yeah, as long as you're putting yourself out there and say and exactly and proving that you can hit them. Obviously, if you put yourself out there and you're too aspirational and you don't hit your goals, it kind of defies the object. But
Sure,
as long as
yeah.
you're big and you're showing it and you're proving it and you're showing that validity to people, you're going to draw people in.
Well, I was going to say, mate, that's a good segue because I was going to bring up the joint venture sort of scheme, I guess, that you do, and I know how well it's been working because, like again, like as I say, you're very open and honest. And you say, you know, I'm working with these guys. This is what we've managed to achieve. This is what we're doing next. And again, like you've just done, is said what your portfolio is going to hit within the next year. So how do people get in touch with you? So anyone watching this podcast who's interested in property, they may not know the legalities behind certain aspects of it. You're obviously the guy that they want on their side. So how would they go about getting involved in a joint venture with, well, I call you the property master now, but the property apprentice, as you're still sticking with?
Yeah, so basically just come through Instagram, just literally message
Nice.
me, say that you're interested, and then yeah, I'll schedule a call and we'll literally go through everything for a fine tooth comb. It's that simple. Like, don't be afraid to reach out. If I don't reach out straight away, it's usually because I'm busy. But
Yeah.
I will. I always try to reply to everyone. And yeah, that's basically the easiest way. Just literally reach out by Instagram, send me a DM, and we'll take it from there. But I'll literally break it all down. I like to be very transparent, so I'll break down the numbers, what you need to start, what are the expectations, when you're going to get paid back, what the appreciation of the asset is, what the market's like,
Yeah.
all of that, absolutely everything. So you walk away knowing exactly what's going to happen.
So you give investors the information that if they were to invest in anything else, they wouldn't probably be given. So if they put it all on the stock market, they wouldn't be getting that list of
No,
guarantees, you know.
no,
So
they'll be getting a finger in the air going, yeah, that's about right.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So Craig, believe it or not, mate, we're I don't even know how long we've been going, but I think we're kind of near to the half an hour already.
Wow.
I know it's flown by. So just before we wrap it up, mate, obviously you've told us about the JVs. I'm going to get you back on because I'm now calling you Crypto Craig. And thank you very much for introducing me to the world of cryptocurrency because it's been relatively fruitful so far, mate. So thank you very much. And that's something that I want us to discuss sort of, you know, again, for about half an hour another time. So I wanted to use this podcast as a you know, to talk about how, you know, you sort of day-to-day work and how you've got to where you are now, but definitely want to get on crypto another time. But from a property perspective, have you got anything coming up within the next 6 months or so that we can keep an eye out for?
Yeah, so I've currently got 3 live sites. Again, they can all be tracked on my Instagram. They're all going to be high-end student HMOs. And basically what I like to talk to my viewers about and the followers is obviously the hard work that goes into it, the numbers, and also the strategy that I have for every property. So the aim of the game for me is to get out every single bit of money that I pump into a property. So in essence, it's a free house. And
Yeah,
then once
yeah.
you have that, you can then recycle it and do it again and replicate that model. And then slowly, before you know it, you're financially free and you're earning a nice steady income. And yeah, you've got your freedom. So that's kind of the message. And you can capture that from my Instagram.
Well, I'd love to see you one day, Craig, and I'm sure it's something you've already probably thought about, is like a seminar. I mean, I'd love, and I think that, I mean, what you've said in the last half an hour is a lot of great information, and it's a lot that people can go away with from this and kind of get a better idea about the property market. But I know that we have just scratched the surface. Like, I know the knowledge you have, that if it was relayed over, you know, a 2 or 3 day period, could massively influence and help people. So I'm not saying that I want to do the marketing for it, mate, but if you do decide to do a seminar,
yeah, mate, of course.
let me know. That's not a sales proposition as well, mate. I didn't just put that in there, but yeah. Like I say, guys, anyone watching this, it's the Instagram, you have to follow it. It's property_apprentice. I'll be having a really tough day at work, and I'll be thinking, oh, you know, I just want to go home and have, well, if it's not a beer, I just want to go home and have my dinner and chill out. And then I'll see a video from Craig pop up, and I think, I'm ready to go again now. Like, it's like the day's just begun again, mate. So
it's 7 o'clock on a Sunday, and I'm still at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, painting walls and fixing taps and all sorts. So yeah, it's brilliant, mate. But again, mate, such a massive thanks for coming on. It's been I'm really, really grateful that you've done that, and I know people are going to take a lot of value from this. So can't wait to see you again, buddy. I know we've got a couple of big dates coming up this year as well, so very excited to be celebrating with you this year. And I think Nat's just informed me about Sienna's christening later in the year. So
that's right. That's hot off the press. Yeah,
awesome. I can't wait for it, mate, and I can't wait for us to all meet up again and just have a beer or two, mate. Would be quite nice, wouldn't it?
Exactly, mate. It's needed, very much needed, and it's been missed massively.
Definitely. But yeah, thank you so much tonight, Craig. And yeah, look forward to catching up soon, buddy.
All right, take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.